Good evening, everyone. I don't know how many of you are watching, but shout out to all my chat children from Evil Incorporated. Today's topic I will be addressing, well, tomorrow I'll start addressing a lot more of the other questions that have been left in the videos, but please, 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 please keep sending in questions or topics you want me to speak about. Steve, from Evil Inc., I'm using this mug just for you, because you were talking about Fantasia a few days ago, and I keep forgetting to actually take a picture and show you the mug. That's my mug, bitch. One of them, anyway. Okay. And yes, it's tea. We're just gonna shove this on the ground, and you're gonna get a shot of my house, because fuck it. Alright. I don't even know why I've got the laptop on my lap. We don't need it today. So I'll address your questions from the previous two videos tomorrow, or at least I'll start. Some of them are probably going to require a whole video themselves. But I decided I was going to do a video, since I talked about Tony Stark yesterday, I would speak about another person that was another fictional character that was important in my life, which came up when we did a quiz in the Evil Incorporated Discord. And I came up with, I think, let me see, Sherlock Holmes was the person that came up as my closest match, with Tony Stark following him, which, you know, if you know me. But I kind of wanted to, since I spoke about Tony Stark already, and I touched a little bit on Doctor Strange, I wanted to talk about, oh fuck, are there mosquitoes out? I'm gonna be fucking eaten alive. God damn it, there are mosquitoes out. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Sherlock Holmes. The fictional characters have played a big part in my life, primarily because I'm a loner, and I haven't had a lot of people, and wow, do I look dead today, sorry. But, you know, I haven't had a lot of real people in my life, and I didn't really have a lot of people central to my life in proximity that I trusted or, you know, felt I could look up to. I mean, there were scientists, and there were paleontologists, and, you know, marine archaeologists, and basically sciencey people in real life that I did look up to, and maybe I'll do a video talking about some of them at some point, some of my inspirations. But Sherlock Holmes is really personal to me. Okay, to sum it up, my childhood wasn't great. Didn't really have friends. Had a lot of people making my life miserable at school. Had one person making my life miserable at home. Emotions were my enemy, because I hated feeling. I still have a hard time dealing with emotions, because I have a very solid core of logic that drives me forward. But I also have an emotional side that really wants to come through sometimes, and most of the time I've found a way to suppress it, and that is kind of where Sherlock Holmes comes in. You know, I loved those stories. I read voraciously as a child. Between reading and movies and video games, it kind of gave me a world to play in where it didn't matter if I had friends or not. Such is life. But, yeah, I read the Sherlock Holmes stories, and I stuck to it. I mean, I got really obsessed with Sherlock Holmes. I was lucky enough to be around when Granada started and Acorn started filming the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes series, which I loved. I loved Basil Rathbone. I loved the 7% Solution. I've got an original copy, first edition copy of the book and the movie somewhere, and I've got Young Sherlock Holmes, even though it's terrible. But I love it anyway, because it's ridiculous and it's, of its era. We're going to switch to the left hand for a bit, because, oh, my arm is hurting. So yeah, I got really heavy into Sherlock Holmes, and more than that, I felt kind of a kinship to him as well, the same way I was kind of talking about Tony Stark, but more that I wanted that. I wanted to be able to suppress my emotions to a degree that I could function. Because I'll be honest, my anger after certain events happened in my life caused me big problems. I mean, not so much at school, because I mean, by that point, I was kind of huddling my way through middle school, and when I got into high school, everybody just left me alone. It was the greatest fucking thing in the world. Everybody talks about how, you know how you see on, especially with American movies, where, kids just get mercilessly beat up and, you know, browbeaten by bullies, but all in high school. All of that for me was in elementary school and middle school. At high school, it disappeared. Everybody just left me alone. I mean, I was a social leper, but at least I wasn't having to, like, run home from school every day, or, it was it was a section of relief. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Sherlock Holmes kind of brought me to a point in my life where I could control myself enough to be a sociable human being, and in essence, I do kind of follow his tenets today. And I know not all of it is healthy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, back then I didn't care. But I mean, as an adult, I know he didn't cope with things in a way that was healthy. And I try to separate that part out. And sometimes I fail. I'm human, guys. As much as I want to pretend I'm a Time Lord with two hearts, grouchy crab, Queen of Tomberries, little murder hobo, I'm none of that. I'm a human. As much as I hate admitting it. But, yeah, he was kind of central to developing the personality that I have. And, I mean, it's not even just emotion-wise that he affected me, The way I look at things, the way I see situations, the way I assess people has all changed based on what I learned through him. And through his art of deduction, I do ascribe to a lot of tenets that he set out. We're going to switch back to that left hand. Because for me, information is something that I've always had as an ally. You can say whatever you want. Humans will say everything to the moon, but when it comes down to cold hard facts, factual evidence, that's everything. That says way more to me than any kind of, any kind of, stuff that's going to come out of your mouth. So I pay very close attention to what goes on around me. Sometimes I'm tired and I don't. I mean, everybody does that. Everybody zones out. Who gives a fuck? But I do tend to notice things that a lot of people don't, because it's important to me to have information. Because if using costumes and personas is a sort of shield for me, as I talked about probably last year with my cosplay, information is my sword. Information is my lance. It's my fireball spell. It's everything that I can arm myself with to go on the offensive if I have to. So I gather information, surreptitiously most of the time, but I mean, sometimes I show off because, again, ego, right? And I guess that's unfortunately another thing I share with him, is a bit of an ego when it comes down to intellect and such. But again, he's another character where I admire him because of his intellect, but it goes beyond that. He was an interesting character, and he was kind of like me, a bit alien, a bit not quite human, which sounds really weird, but honestly, when I was a little girl, I used to think that because I was so different, because nobody got me, that I had come from the moon. I don't know. Tiny little Tomberry things, But yeah, there's just something about his character that appeals to me in a way that I feel a kinship with him. And it's different than any other fictional character. I think maybe the Doctor kind of comes close to that as well, especially the 12th Doctor now, that I've got someone who I kind of feel is very, very much like me. But I mean, I don't know. All I can say is that while I appreciate and am thankful for having had Sherlock Holmes as an anchor and having his methods of emotion suppression, I mean, much like Spock. Thank you, Kara. much like Spock from Star Trek. You know, there's this core of logic along with this emotional suppression. I really strongly, because I know some of you were younger, I really strongly don't suggest you take those tenets, because once you go down that road, it is really hard to get back from it. And it's hurtful. It's damaging. I know that there's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to unpack and deal with and face as I get older, because there are things that I have suppressed that... There are things that I have suppressed that are too dangerous to my psyche to unpack ever. And that's fine. That's normal. We do that. I have scar tissue. It's there. But there are some things that I need to get around to facing. And I don't want to see you guys have to go through with that. Things hurt when they hurt. They hurt when they happen. But it's better to deal with it and head it face on than to, to lock it away and let it sit there and burn inside you. And before you know it, you're pushing 40 and you've got a chest full of embers. And the furnace is getting hotter, and all of a sudden you realize, I need to deal with this now, or they're going to be locking me up in an asylum in, 10, 20, 30 years. So, don't be me. I think I've said that about a lot of things, but I mean, this one is imperative. While it may have helped me in the short term, it's not a good thing. But yeah, I mean, also I admire his crime-solving skills and his analytical prowess, and... he was just fucking cool. And obviously I loved the way he dressed. One of my ideal cosplays is a Jeremy Brett Holmes. I do like... Okay, let's get this out of the way. Johnny Lee Miller was a good Sherlock Holmes, but I didn't like the premise of having Watson as a woman. Elementary was okay, but I really don't enjoy it. The RDJ, Jude Law, Sherlock Holmes were really fucking fun. I hated the angle where Sherlock was sleeping with... Irene Adler. I think that was unnecessary. But in general, I kind of liked slightly more uncompt Holmes, even if it wasn't quite to the Arthur Conan Doyle standard. I still liked it. I still liked the costume design, and I still intend to do a cosplay of that Holmes sometime in the future. God knows when. Let me see. I already touched on young Sherlock Holmes. 7% Solution is an interesting alternative. I do enjoy it because it is kind of plausible when you look at how severe his addiction was and how high-strung and, like I said, he had a lot of problems. I have a lot of problems. You have to learn to unpack them before it's too late. So it's a very plausible thing to me. Bendy Stick Cumblebum. I like his Holmes. I like the Watson. I fucking love the Moriarty in that. He's fucking hilarious. Andrew Scott's awesome. Again, it's another one that's kind of in the future for cosplay, but unfortunately it's one I have to wig for. Like the Jeremy Brett Holmes, I can just use pomade, have slightly shorter hair, and slick it all back, because that's basically what he looked like. So that's fine. I can do that. That was easy. It's just the suit and the tie. And, ugh. Anyway, I can talk about other Holmes if you want as a part of a mini question breakdown, but I mean, other than that, I think I've mostly rambled way too much. We're hitting like 14 minutes now, so I think that's good enough. So, again, stay safe, stay warm, don't go the fuck outside, wash your hands, all that bullshit that everybody else is saying. You know the drill, you should be doing it by now. Things are only going to get worse before they get better, so hang in there, don't panic. Don't panic, okay? See you later.